Hey, everybody, it is the Disc Golf Show. Today is March 25th, 2025. This is episode number 6 of the 2025 season. My name is Justin. With me today is that guy.
Nick, that's me.
That is him. You'll notice there's a void on the show today. So let's discuss the elephant in the room. Ken, he's not here.
Let's take a moment.
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence.
Nothing happened. Nothing. He
No.
some stuff he had to do. So time conflicts. The show must go on. But we will miss Ken today. But we'll cover a section. And he won the fantasy league. So
We'll get to that.
Do we really need to say anything? Do we really need to say anything about it? We don't need to say anything about it. This show is brought to you in part by Final Nine Sports with their 2 locations, one in Orangevale, one in Rocklin. Support local if you can. But let's just say, Nick, you can't support local. What could you do? What would be a solution to that problem?
Oh, I mean, my first initial thought is to go to discgolfdeals.com.
Oh, discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow? That would be a great place to go. And as a matter of fact, if you do, you'll save 10% off of your purchase, which, hey, who doesn't like saving money? So this show is also brought to you in part by discgolfdealsusa.com when you can't support local.
Exactly.
Then you should go there because they have great deals. We'll talk about them more later.
News.
I messed that up because there's a preview button and a live button.
And you hit the
I clicked
preview?
on it twice. Yeah, I just had a little spasm. So
That's
anyways,
quite
take it
all
away,
right.
Nick.
Quite all right. First thing, we'll run through some small things here. First thing is, which I thought was pretty neat, is if you haven't heard, you know of Pound Disc Golf, right? They're those high-end bags, very high quality. Kind of cool. They recently partnered up with Leatherman, and that is that multi-tool, the Leatherman. So there's actually Leathermans out there, which is, I believe it's the Wave Plus tool, and it has, good old Pound Disc Golf logo etched into it. I just thought that was neat that it's another company that's been around for a while is doing a collab with Disc Golf.
Going the disc golf way.
Yep,
and
exactly.
Love to see it. I love my Leatherman.
Yeah.
I've loved it ever since survival school in the military. They're just super freaking handy. So if you don't have one, you should pick one up. And
especially when
Pound Disc Golf.
You're hungry and there's a bunny, right?
Was it negative 1-star reviews from PETA. Hey, it happens. You got to eat, right? Up next, Big Jerm. Did you know this? He's an avid board game enthusiast. And he just got sponsored by a board game company, Stonemaier. I think that's how you say it.
I believe so. Yeah.
Some of their popular games are Wingspan, Wormspan, which is like the wyvern wormspan, and then Scythe, which I looked at them a little bit. They look pretty interesting, and they have a ton of different board games. I like board games, but I'm not like a big enthusiast of them, so it's kind of cool like checking them out. Check out their website; it's really cool. Stonemaier Games, which is Stone StoneMaier games.com is their website. So check them out. That's kind of cool.
Yep. Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
This was just a notation for me. Although that the PDGA Live scoring app functions great, right? It's got a lot of good features on there. One thing that I've noticed that I feel has been missing is, and again, this is being a fan of UDisc, is when you would click on the hole, it would pop up with the layout. So the T sign basically of that hole. I think that would be something that would be an easy addition to the PDGA scoring app. But it was something that jumped in my head. I thought of it a long time ago and I was like, oh, you know what? I should probably write this down because, making things better, it's always a plus for everybody. So it's neat as a spectator following those live scores that if I could click on that number, on that hole number, that I could see the exact layout of that hole. I just thought that was worth notation.
Absolutely. And some of these features will probably get added in there too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Something about the UDisc app. I don't know if you ever tried this. I tried adding somebody by searching for like somebody playing a game at the course in your proximity.
Mm-hmm.
I tried that. It didn't work for me. I don't know.
Oh,
It
you
never
could
seemed
just
to work.
you should be able to randomly add people that are also on the course at the same time as you.
You can request to add them. So I was trying to add a buddy that I was playing around with, and I'm like, hey, let me add you. And I'm like, oh, it says right here I can search for people using the UDisc app or whatever. So we tried to get that to work. I don't know if we're just doing it wrong. Probably. But that could be updated maybe a little bit in the UDisc app to make that a little bit more intuitive. I don't know.
All right.
But constantly improving. That's something that all the companies should do, and they do. So
Exactly.
it'll get better over time.
Yeah.
Better over time, I'm sure. That would be a nice feature, though. Also nice, this is pretty cool news. On April 25th to the 27th, guess what's coming back? The Glass Blown Open by name returns. I'm glad they're bringing that back. And like you noted in the show notes here, they had some of the best trophies. Let's face it. God, disc golf trophies.
Trophy game.
Wow.
It's rough.
Like, what was it for the last? A hat? Cowboy hat? Like,
yeah, Open at Austin is
all
a
right.
cowboy hat. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
the other
Could be
thing
worse, I guess.
when it comes to that is like,
Could be a chessboard.
how do you pack that? Like, it's not the easiest thing to pack. Otherwise, maybe the event mails it to an address that you want it mailed to. You know, you don't want to carry
because
those
you don't want to like
around.
crush it.
Yeah.
You gotta get a hat box, and it becomes this whole thing.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting because Glassbone Open has been around a long time, and then it changed to Dynamic Discs Open. And I always thought the Glassbone Open was a very unique name. And like you said, the trophies. The trophies were very beautifully made glass orbs. And hopefully they do that again this year because I was a big fan of those. Let's move on to the big events. We had Waco.
All right.
Of the last two events, the first one 2 weekends ago was Waco. There were a few things that were of note that came up in conversation in social media. I'll run through a couple things here. There was a ton of wind at the beginning of the event. It kind of died off through the event, so it seemed like scores got better and better, which is always fun to see. Really get it out of the way. Kristin Lott, she's a three-peater now. And I think it's only happened 2 other times by Paige Pierce at events. So she's had that event 3 times in a row. So shout out to her for the win. And MPO was a battle. Surprisingly, not from the lead card. Well, one from the lead card and one from a chase card. But Simon put the pressure on Adam Hammis down to 18, literally down to the final hole. So Simon was waiting to see how that panned out. There were a couple things to notate. One is Adam Hammis. Okay, before we get to the win, there was a questionable by social media, by couch commentators, that his disc, there was a picture of his disc that was on the OB line. Now, for me on this, I wasn't there. You're seeing a picture that was taken, whether it's via the video or somebody went over and took a picture. My argument here is 2 things. One, the card is calling it. The card, they're the ones who make those decisions, right? And if you're a competitor, you're not going to give it to the guy just because you feel bad. You're going to look at it objectively and go, what is my call here? Can I definitively say, yes, he's OB or yes, he's inbounds? If you cannot definitively say he is OB, it goes to the player. Benefit.
It does. Yep.
So,
benefit of the doubt goes to the player.
So the call goes there. The other thing is this picture. Oh, man. It gets me that the picture's not from directly overhead of the disc. It's from the inbound side of the disc at an angle at which it could be taken that the disc is not completely or touching inbounds, right? Because the line itself is OB. So I would argue that you're not there. Let the card call it. And
Absolutely. I mean, it's all just online speculation, right?
Yes.
It's just one of those things. Like, everybody has an opinion, and they're like, your booty hole.
Everybody's
you know
got
how
one.
the saying goes. Right? And they all stink, right? So it's just one of those things. Like, yeah, you're absolutely right, though. Like, you're not there. The card is calling it, and the benefit of the doubt goes to the player. Enough said.
Yeah.
You know, but there's always this thing that comes up when people take pictures and the OB line discussion, and the rules are very clear.
Yeah.
So it's odd to me that it keeps coming up, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just human nature to kind of toss stuff back and forth and argue about stuff, especially online. That's just kind of like how it is, right? It's just going to happen no matter really what the topic is, to be honest. But yeah, the picture, if you want a really good debate about it and you want a really good shot of it, get your picture from overhead.
Directly overhead. Yeah.
Directly overhead.
Yeah.
And then,
but
because that's how you're going to look at it, right? If you're playing, you're going to look directly overhead of it. Is it touching inbounds? Cool. If not, you know.
Exactly.
Whatever,
exactly. So with that call being from other people's perspective, oh, if he had been called OB, then Simon would have won. Well, Adam Hammes, he won. He won, guys. Simon came in second, which is respectable, anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially at an
if
event.
Hammes had been sick, Simon would have won. Same argument.
Yeah, especially at an event.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Didn't.
Especially at an event where so many players were in contention within the last few holes. So it was awesome to see that battle.
Right. Yeah. Say what you will. Fantastic final round.
Yes.
Like, it was so close that it kept you there, glued to it. So
exactly. So, and that putt from Adam was 100% a death putt.
Yes.
And he cast
awesome.
So just from that. So big shout out to Adam Hammes for that win. Well deserved. And big shout out to Simon for that battle back in the final round. So
absolutely.
Very fun, very, very fun event to watch.
Yep. And the next event that just finished up here is the Open at Austin. Couple of notes on that. Sexton pulls out of the event, which was interesting. And then we had injuries, which suck. And some kind of surprising things, too, watching like the field play. So Owen is playing injured, right? Her elbow's all messed up. And I've noticed, though, she was powering through it on a couple of holes, still throwing that sidearm. Like, oof, I don't know if that's a good idea. You should let that thing relax. But then, you're a competitor and risk versus reward. And I don't know, like in terms of like the quality of your gameplay and your health going forward, too. Like, Owen's not a young spring chicken, right? Like, she's like us, getting up there in age, right? So that's something, too, that I like to see her compete, and I understand the mindset behind it, but I worry sometimes, like, ooh, maybe you shouldn't push it that hard. Like, do you take the extra stroke? I don't know. I'm not there.
I did notice on that, on Owen, the commentators did state that even though she did throw that sidearm, which, again, I'm all with you on that. I agree that she probably should have done as little as possible, and she probably did, to be honest with you. But she did state that she wasn't throwing it the same way as she normally did. Usually she does a very overstable disc where she cuts across and lets it come back. This time she was keeping it lower, and she wasn't cutting a top right to bottom left as much. So at least she was probably I'm sure she was taking that into consideration. But I would much prefer, as you said, that she would just lay off it completely, because I want to see her at more events.
And I say that, and I'm not a competitor by any means, but I have also played with a jacked up arm and decided, I can get away with one and then hurt myself because I'm an idiot. So I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm immune to it, but it's just something that you're like, be careful.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I guess Missy having some possible shoulder issues, Missy Gannon, which probably leads to my results in my fantasy league score.
Yeah, possibly. Possibly. Yeah.
That I hope that she gets that over that soon too. Not just from a fantasy league, but that sucks. I like watching Missy. Wasn't she FPO Player of the Year last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, there was a whole argument about that too.
Oh yeah. Just remember making sure I remember that right.
Yeah.
And then we have a DNF pullout due to a torn ACL.
Yeah, Heidi. Laine. Yeah.
Yeah,
which is
pulled out.
That's bad news.
That's
like your season
torn. You're done. You're done. ACL. You're done.
Yeah,
you're done. You need a long and that is painful. I have heard that's one of the most painful injuries you can get is tearing an ACL. So that sucks. Heart goes out to you, and hopefully you recover very quickly. But
yeah,
done for the season for sure.
Yeah, you will. Who, if you had her on your fantasy league, go find a replacement.
Yeah, done. Also, Ezra Robinson goes to the ER before playing at the Open.
So apparently he ate something that did not agree with him, whether it was allergy wise or just bad food wise. I do not know, but
I would assume probably allergies because I don't know if most people would go to the ER for poopies. You know what I mean? You got tumbly rumblies? Probably
somebody
not,
could for food poisoning. You might, if it's that bad, you know.
If it's terrible.
Yeah. But he recovered fast. They fixed him up and he was back. So which is awesome. Which was good to hear.
Yep. Absolutely. And then you got to know, I'm going to let you cover this one. Holland with the third round.
Yeah, so she apparently birdied every hole on the back nine in her third round, which I don't think has been done at that event or at that course. So huge shout out. That's a feat that is amazing. Whoever does it, big congrats to have a perfect back nine. That always helps your standings. That can't hurt.
Always can't hurt.
But yeah, it was. You can't say anything bad about it. Like she's an amazing athlete. She's a power thrower, and obviously that benefited her at this second course at this event because they did play the two first courses at Spring Valley. We will get to that, and then the second course was more open. But yeah, dude, give me a turkey, I'm happy. You give me 3 turkeys in a row.
These days, you give me 1.
Yeah, right.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So big shout out to her. Another thing was Katrina Allen, who hasn't been in the forefront a lot. You know, she recently had a baby, and congratulations to her and Austin on that. But she was on the lead card for final round. So big shout out to her for showing up strong.
That is awesome to see.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about hole 18 here in a second, but before we do, because I can tell this is going to go probably long. Let's talk about who won the events in the final round here. Holland Hanley wins by 1 stroke over Kristin, Lätt, and I will say on both sides of the field, right? MPO, FPO, fantastic final rounds, and it was kind of down to the wire on both sides, but Holland Hanley finally taking it by 1 stroke over Kristin, Lätt, which was cool to see. It was an interesting kind of dynamic at the very end, right? I was maybe rooting for Kristin, Lätt, but neither one of them are on my fantasy team, so it didn't really matter to me that much. Yeah. I just kind of wanted to see her win it. And then Nicolas Antila. Am I saying that right?
Nicolas Antila.
Antila. I don't know why I can't say that name right. Wins in a playoff against Kyle Klein, which super awesome to see. I love kind of the drama of that, right? It just kind of hooks you in, and you're like, you can't stop watch, and then to go into playoffs, and I just loved both final rounds on this event. That's kind of the way that I want to see it, and I love the drama of that going into it. There is one note, and I know you're burning to bring up this point in your old mannerism, so I'll let you have it, Nick. I'm not going to spoil your thunder.
All right,
go for it.
I saw a video posted of a couple things. One was apparently Kyle was a bit more fussy than people thought he should be about shots that didn't go his way. He was a bit more complaining, even though he was in the lead at that point. He was, I think, 2-3 strokes ahead of the pack, and he would not necessarily throw a fit, but a little more emotion than I guess people wanted to see from him or thought that they should be seeing from him. That aside, the one thing I do want to touch on is there's a video that was shared of him foot faulting, not being called on said foot fault.
Yep.
I get when you're in that atmosphere and you know people and you've been playing with them week in, week out, that you worry about maybe if you do call, then there's the worry of retaliation and being more scrutinized on your shots and all that stuff. I get that. But listen, either you call it or you don't. If it's a rule, you should be calling it.
Absolutely.
And I don't care how close the battle is. I don't care if the person's in 52nd place. If they're foot faulting, that's a rule.
Yep.
Call the foot fault. Whether it's a warning first or it's a stroke, call it. That's the rule. Abide by the rules. And it's very obvious in the video that he plants and the disc moves before release. Now, it's one thing that you plant, throw, and then you bump. Once the disc is out of your hand at that point, it's not a foot fault. But if you're planting before release and you touch your marked, either it's a mini marker or your disc that you're planting behind and you touch it before release, it's a foot fault. Do I think it affects the full outcome? No, but the rule's the rule. We should enforce those rules.
Absolutely. It's a clear case of you stepped over the line, Smokey.
Yeah.
You're entering a world of pain.
Yeah.
Name that movie.
Yeah.
Not saying that you should take those measures, to be clear.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm talking about. But,
yeah,
all right. Let's get to it. Let's
get
to it, Nick.
You don't want
Let's
me
get
to
to it.
This one.
I think I do. Springle Valley.
Spring. That added in there, I think. Spring Valley.
Yeah. There we go. Spring.
Okay.
Springle.
So the biggest controversy
That's why I
here
read it.
biggest controversy, in my opinion, of this whole Open at Austin event is hole 18.
Yep.
I'm not taking away from the fact that it's entertaining.
It is.
And entertainment is the goal, right?
Absolutely.
But at what cost is what I'm bringing up. Okay, so my opinion here, you're going to know where I'm going with this. I hated this hole. I think the design of the hole, for a couple reasons. Now, hold on. Let me take that back. I don't hate the hole. I hate the rules for the hole. Let's go that route. Okay. We're going to go over a couple little stats here. So after the 2 rounds that were played, the first 2 rounds were held at this course, you could have an amazing round. You could be 8 down. Let's say 8. Let's say you are 8 down.
Okay.
You could go into this hole and end up even after 1 hole. 1 hole should not dictate the quality of your round, in my opinion. I don't think that 1 hole where for me, there were a couple things that could be adjusted for it. And okay, let's go through the stats really quick. First round, FPO averaged almost 3 over, a 2.81 over average. Okay. In that first round, only 16 out of 53 FPO players single bogeyed or better. That's not good. And in the second round, only 12 of those FPO players single bogeyed or better. That's not how a hole should be scored, in my opinion. In round 2, the average on that hole for FPO was 3.55 over par. It's not a good hole design. Rule designs, applicable rules. And for MPO, think about this. MPO, first round, 1.01 over average. And granted, there are going to be those holes. That's not as egregious, in my opinion. In the second round, 1.36 over. Very rarely do you see MPO where they're over by that much on average. There are going to be those holes. I think there should have been adjustment maybe of T-pad or pin for FPO. That would have probably at least adjusted the averages partially. The other thing is for MPO, think about this. Almost 30% of MPO had more than a single bogey. 1/3 shot a double or worse on that hole. And in the second round, 47% double or worse. I don't think that that's good stats. I don't think that should happen. I think, really quick before you jump in, because I do want to hear what you think about this. I think an easy adjustment for this, play hazard around that island versus OB and distance in OB. Like, I get that if you fly over, because that was the only out that you had to really kind of mitigate any big number, was ripping it and purposely going over the island just so you could putt from a drop zone. Maybe that. But that's not how players don't want to purposely drive over islands. They want to land islands, right? So I think even that is kind of a tough ask for them to make that decision, because they want to land the island. That's the purpose of golf, is throw in bounds, disc golf. And I think that one way to have adjusted this was, again, like I said, play hazard around that island. If they don't make it, they're getting extra stroke for it, but you're not decimating their whole round on one hole.
Yeah. I mean, we have seen players like Simon blast past an island hole to be able to do that, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Few and far between, I guess that happens, right?
Yeah.
But it's a possibility, so it's probably something that, they kind of keep in mind for that. I don't mind a challenging hole. As a matter of fact, I think there should be more of them, to be honest. More ways to change up the game, right? If you're not on it and the other person is, there you go, right? And giving you more opportunity to utilize that skill and be able to have shakeups, I think would be kind of nice, right? I think a lot of these tournaments that we're seeing now are, maybe a little bit too much of a birdie fest, and that's okay to a certain extent, right? I mean, you don't want to make them so difficult that nobody's getting them, because that's weird. And then tuning this one hole, yeah, I mean, the statistics, at least for FPO, are pretty egregious. Like, that's, wow. That's really bad. I will agree with you there. So yeah, maybe specifically for FPO, and that rule change to be a hazard. Okay, I could meet you halfway there. But I really wouldn't change much of that hole. It's difficult, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, the whole layout was a great hole, because you have that first shot short of the OB, that OB box, OB area. Then you have to actually make a gap on your second shot. Great. Right. And it's a valid par 5. It's only 707, I think it was what it was. A little over 700 feet for a par 5. So there's got to be some obstacles in the way. So the layout, I just think, like I said, I think when you have the variation of, one, the percentage of people that shot more than single bogey over, as well as you had a birdie, right? 2 or 3, 4 birdies maybe in FPO. And then you had 13, 14 over. Like, I get that there are and there are ways in which that outcome is acceptable. For me, at least, again, for FPO, I do agree. MPO, this is a little bit, it wasn't horrible, right? a little over 1 stroke over on a hole. That's not horrible. But for FPO, I think one of the comments was bring the basket shy of those stairs and maybe make it a par 4. You know, or for me, push that tee pad up to where maybe on their drive, if they really want to crush it, they can clear that OB, that first squared OB area, and then make the area, if you keep the pin back there on that island, make the area hazard. I just feel when your round goes decent and you're shooting, let's say easy, let's say 4 down, and then you end up shooting a 4 over after 1 hole, which is a tough ruled hole. Again, I don't want to repeat. I think it was, for FPO, not a great design rule wise.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
Yeah. But it was fun to watch.
yeah. It was super fun to watch, and I love the drama of it, which is kind of what keeps me glued to it.
Yeah.
What also kind of keeps me glued to disc golf is things like this. Kristin Lätt, if she stays on track the way that it's going, will stand to become the #1 lifetime winnings earner by the end of this year, which is crazy.
Yes.
Currently, she's only behind Paige Pierce by like 43-ish K, right?
Yep.
So that's as of the date of today's show. Nuts.
That's crazy.
So we will see how it goes, and I'm pretty sure by the end of this year, for sure, it'll happen.
If it's not this year,
barring injury,
it's next year.
Exactly. It's going to happen.
If for some reason she has an off year this year and she's not, she doesn't win like 3 more,
right.
Like it's happening. As much as I hate to say it, Paige is not in contention currently.
No,
like you see her pop up and down, but she's still that committed, respectfully committed player where she goes for things, she's still in that mindset, which again, that's tough to get out of when you've played that way for so long.
True.
But yeah, that should be happening soon. I did want to mention this. So this last weekend, or this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, prior to this, I was lucky enough to volunteer at our local A tier, which used to be a main stop for the pros. And yes, disc golf has grown a lot. It's kind of outgrown the par 3 courses, and stuff like that. But our course, it's my home course, Shady Oaks, loved it. It's specific lines you got to throw. So it's a great course to play. I volunteered at this event, and I was, as last year, I announced the cards and everything. It was fun, all three days. The final day this year was a little bit different because I actually ended up announcing each player on the tee, as well as telling them their rules and all that stuff. So if you can volunteer at your local events, especially pro weekends, they're fun to watch. It doesn't matter, local pros, top pros. There's a significant difference between the average disc golfer and the pros that throw. So fun to do. I did want to give a shout out because this year, this event was covered. In the past, we've done actual coverage of previous years. So I don't know if they're still up on YouTube. Maybe we can find them. I don't know. But other people have covered this. Last year, I think it was Premium Disc Golf from South Lake Tahoe. But this year, Central Coast Disc Golf is going to have coverage up soon. I believe it's probably within 2-3 weeks, so somewhere around there. When it does go up, we will let you know for sure. That way you can see what we throw, where we throw, for us. And big shout out to Corey Merle. You know who Corey is. If you don't, then you live under a rock. Corey and Ryan LaRue. Big shout out them for volunteering their time. Well, kind of, it was paid for this year, which means you're going to get really good coverage because Central Coast Disc Golf does not provide garbage. They provide great coverage of events, and this will be added to, from what I understand, more of a NorCal series, Northern California series of events that CCDG is planning on doing, thanks to Corey. So big shout out to them, and we'll let you know when that coverage comes out.
Absolutely. And just a reminder, before we roll into our next segment, do us a favor and hit subscribe if you're liking the show. We'd super appreciate it. And hey, that may enter you into contest giveaways in the future. So
that's right.
There's that.
All right.
My God, are you still talking?
Yes, I am still talking. We're still talking because that's what we do here on the Disc Golf Show.
Yeah.
Some disc golf conversation highlights here. Here we go again. New discussion about the step jump putt rule has come up again. So, what's your take, Nick?
It does. I think this is another one. What?
I'm kind of sick of this conversation, to be honest. Like, it comes up so much. Like, I get kind of like tired of talking about it, to be honest.
You know what that means? It needs to be put to bed. It needs to be addressed because it keeps coming up, right? There's inconsistencies at that point, I feel like. And inconsistencies, if you know me, I hate them. Yeah, I think that one very good example, is Kristin Lätt.
Yeah.
This was brought up 2 years ago of how when she jumps, her release is slightly after her last foot comes off the ground, right? What did she do? As a professional disc golfer, what did she do? She adjusted her putt. She changed it so that there was no question about her putt. So, she goes, okay, well, maybe I am. She reviews some video. It's questionable. Well, let's get that out of the way. So now, if you notice, when she's in circle 2, she's not jumping. She's, her normal straddle stance, putting. Right. So she's taking that out of question on her own. I think that, again, if it's too difficult, and this is where it comes down to, again, couch commentators, right?
Yep.
Couch officials. Yes, you're going to notice these things when you're reviewing it and you're rewinding it and you're playing it and you're writing. In real time, things are completely different. And if this is a rule that stays, the card is there. They're able to make those calls. And if they do not make those calls, it's on them.
Yep.
So ultimately, yes, like you said, this is old argument. Let it go. Because leave it to the pros who are on that card to make that call. And if they're not making the call, then they're missing out on a stroke that they could have gained in the long run.
Yep.
Like I think either, again, for me, if that's the rule though, you got to be on it as a player.
Absolutely.
So will we hear about it again? Card. Most likely.
Yep. Definitely. Before the end of the year again, I'm sure. I'm sure it'll be here in the disc golf conversation section again. One thing that I would like to know from you, because I've thought about this rule a few times. Okay, so there's a rule that when you go OB, you can go back to your previous line. Yes.
Okay. Do you feel that's... What do you think of that rule? Do you think it's okay? Do you think it's uniquely disc golf rule, so leave it? Or do you think, hey, you in OB, man, go over to where the OB is, you get your meter out, or your distance, that's another thing, the distance directly back from the pin, straight back, you can keep going backwards until you have a spot that you think is best for you. Is that something that should stick around, do you think? Do you like that rule?
So, and I'd love to hear your comments, too, if you're listening to the show. So leave that if you're listening to the audio version on whatever application you're previewing, because now I figured out how to check the comments on Spotify. My apologies. So we do read those now, and down below in the comment section on YouTube if you're watching or listening there. So I think that with the combination of those things, it's fine, because really what's the advantage of one over the other? Right? If you can go to your OB spot and then back up as much as you want, what's the difference between throwing to your previous lie? The distinct advantage of both, I think they kind of wash each other out. So I don't really have a problem with it. Now, if you did away with being able to back up as much as you want and you just get 1 meter, then yeah, maybe you should take away the previous lie, because that, to me, is a more distinct disadvantage to throwing OB, right? That penalty is greater, and it makes you avoid it more, right?
Yeah.
Depending on what hole we're talking about, right? Because we brought up earlier the Simon thing where he's like, boop, I'll just go over and I'll throw from there. And that's a distinct advantage for that particular hole.
Yes.
On that particular course in that particular instance. Right? So you got all these gray areas, I think, but I think the way that the rules stand right now, with at least the combination of those two, I don't really have a problem with it. Because you can game it either way. But if you were to restrict it down, then yeah, maybe. And that might lead to even more gray area. So I don't know if you should change it. You know what I mean? Like
That's true.
That seems to me like a quick 3-4 rule kind of swapping tank. Yeah, I don't know if you want to go there.
Yeah.
I don't know if the system is necessarily broken right now. So
I think this is probably more of a question for our viewers and our listeners. I'm
Absolutely.
curious about it because it's, I think going backwards, straight backwards, again, that depends on the layout of the hole.
right.
And then going back to your previous lie, well, that depends on, did you go out really early or did you go out way at the end of your throw? Like then you're having multiple beneficial options for going out of bounds.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I'm with you on that. Again, listen, guys, these are not hills I'm dying on. Okay.
No.
These are just things that I think that could
They're
be
interesting.
discussed. Yeah, they're interesting rules, especially when it comes to disc golf. They're very disc golf centric rules. And I'm just curious because a lot of people's initial mindset is golf. You know, this is a very golf-like sport, right? But we are very unique in other ways. So there's pluses to keep those uniqueness, the uniqueness of disc golf. And then there's also disadvantages where, yes, are you holding on to something just for the purpose of it being unique? You know what I mean? But yeah, very, very curious as to what you guys think of that rule. There's a bunch of rules out there that are kind of, 2 meter rule. We could get into that as well, but we don't need to.
True.
Not right now.
Right.
We can get into that another time.
Sure. But what we could get into right now is this.
Yes.
Gear.
Oh my.
And equipment.
What is he looking at? This segment is brought to you in its entirety. This entire segment is brought to you by discgolfdealsusa.com/disc golf show. Click on our affiliate link down below. If you're in the linkies there and you're looking at the show notes, it'll save you 10% off your entire purchase. So, why not? And you help out the show. So please use that because that would be fantastic. So far in 2025, as of the date of this show, here's what is approved by the PDGA, so it'll be coming out here soon. Dynamic Discs had the Treason approved. Prodigy had the Pivot approved. I knew it was coming. You and the whole friends thing.
They need to do a video,
Pivot.
dude. They better do a video.
Pivot. It sells itself.
Like it does.
It sells itself at that point, right?
I want one.
Right? Then we will all get one, right? Disc Monkey had the DMD1 and the DMM1 recently approved, which is interesting.
I think it's
no real what's that?
I think it's like Disc Monkey Driver one and Disc Monkey Mid-Range one, maybe.
Mid-range one? I think so. It doesn't
my
really
guess.
spell it out, but I would guess. And there's no real graphic on them per se to give you more than that. And I'm sure that will change with different, stamps as they come out and it actually gets released for sale, right? And then Westside had the Tide approved. Nice to see them coming out with more discs because I like Westside discs. Also approved was Sci-Fly discs, the Sputnik, which I'm already instantly a fan, being a nerd of that sciencey stuff. And then Doomsday Discs had the Monstrosity approved, and Discmania had the P4 approved. How many putters do they have that have been approved now?
Well, I mean,
it's quite a few.
Yeah, they got the P1, 2, 3, and now 4, and then they have other ones 4 as well. So Yeah,
and then the other one. So why not have another putter? Why not? The more, the merrier, right?
Exactly.
All right. Recent and upcoming releases. So right now we have available the Gateway Platinum Realm, which is interesting. So in that platinum plastic, which is made up of 75% recycled material, that's what its composition is. So that's interesting. I like seeing that. I like seeing these companies pop up that are doing more environmentally and thinking about how could we create discs with the stuff that we already have and solving things, right? Like we have, was it the
Ocean
Trash Panda?
Yep.
Ocean
discs.
Discs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to say Oceanside, but it's just Ocean Discs. Like stuff like that. I love seeing that stuff. So with more companies getting into the recycled plastic game, gotta love it. DiscGolfDealsUSA.com website. It's one more plug for them. But if you're shopping on there, some kind of key things to keep your eye on, some recent releases that they have. The Anthony Barella's Cigarra just came out, and those are flying off the digital shelves. See what I did there? And then Paul Ulibarri's Captain Raptor, the 2025 edition, also came out. And this one is incredibly low stock because they are being purchased like crazy. Ricky Wysocki's Proto Putter. So if you want one, get there now. Get your purchase in because it's going to be a minute before they can restock them, I'm sure, because they're just leaving.
Yeah.
Another real quick plug, I don't know if you guys know, but we also have an affiliate link for Vessi shoes. And I just picked up myself a pair of their high-top waterproof for disc golf shoes. And I haven't gotten them yet, but I'll be updating you all when I do get them. Play a round or two in them and see how they go. My current Idios are not waterproof. So I'm swapping to the Vessis to check these out because of the waterprooficity, that's not a word, of them. Because I'm tired of using the hiking boots, so I'm looking into them. We'll see how they stay. I've had like just their regular Vessi shoes before, and they're surprisingly very waterproof. Right? So I'm excited to see what these do, and something that's like tailored to the disc golf game is something that I'm looking for as well, because it seems like the more focus that's spent in that direction, the better it feels on the course, right? Love my ideas. It's just I need something a little bit more waterproof because it has been terrible. Like hole one and my feet are soaked. Like, all right, well, this is gonna be a long round, right? It's the quality of the game, right?
Yeah.
So I'll check those out. I'll let you all know about how they stand up over time because that's what I'm super interested in. How long do they last?
I'll tell you right now.
So far,
I got a pair and they're super comfortable because they're that knit style shoe.
Yeah.
So they're not bulky or like rigid, super rigid. They're very, very comfortable. And hey, you know what? If Isaac Robinson and Paul McBeth support this brand, you can't go wrong. They're both world champs. Come on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So our link is in the comments down below, or not comments.
There you go. And it's
description.
in the description down below, and in the show notes if you're.
And we'll make some posts as well. So
yeah. You'll see it everywhere. Yeah. You'll see the link there if you want to, pick yourself up some Vessi shoes. On to the next section.
KEN versus
Disc golf.
He's not here. He won in the SkipAce League this time. Moving on. Next section. Congratulations, Ken, for whooping up on us again.
Yeah.
Again. I'm starting to think there's a conspiracy here.
What's that?
Ken, and winning all these fantasy, disc golf league stuff.
Hey.
I think he's doing something behind the scenes.
He's
calling up these players.
It can't be every time.
He's calling up these players, and he's like, "Hey, Simon, I need you to take second place. Okay? Can you do that for me?" And Simon's like, "Gotcha, bet." I don't know. I'm
Venmo me.
Starting to think.
Venmo.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on. Ken's holding out, and he's setting up some kind of conspiracy here to win. But congratulations to him. He wasn't here today, but we do want to cover the next upcoming events. If you would cover that real quick.
Yeah. Before we get that though, I do want to say that I am very much enjoying. If you do not have a SkipAce fantasy league, you can still, I believe, create them and get some going for the remaining events, I believe. But all the way that it's being scored this year is making it much more dynamic when watching and following the events during the events. So before last year, it was on placement mostly. At least that's what we think. And it was very apparent who was going to win the event very early on in the event. This go around, it's way more, I guess, volatile.
Yeah.
Where you could be at the top going into round 2 or even 3, and you shuffle very much throughout that round. So it's
because of the new way that the point system is distributed. And that's really it, is it's no longer just based on ranking. I mean, you could do it that way if you want.
Yeah.
But now you have the flexibility to set point values for different things. So the performance of your player can dictate score, which is better than just basing it off of a ranking. In my opinion. And as we've seen, it's kind of more fun to watch because, like, oh, this player's doing really good. Yeah, maybe they're not in the top 5, but you're still competitive with everybody else because your players are still doing good, right? They're doing good things, that they're, getting birdies and stuff like that. Like, maybe they can't catch up at this point, but they're scoring a ton of points in this final round. They're starting to creep up, right?
Yeah.
And same thing conversely, if your players start, just parring instead of birdieing, even though they're at the top, it's not as good of a score as that guy that's getting the birdies.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. That's getting the birdie. So I really like it too. I think it's a lot more dynamic and fun and interesting to kind of keep track of and crap talk everybody else.
Oh yeah,
mostly Nick in
yes,
but
but a lot of pointing fingers and laughing at me throughout the events. Yeah.
As long as you beat Nick, I've done good.
But yeah, so thanks JVD for all the work you put in. As for the events that are coming up, we have a few. Again, I'm going to reiterate, May 17th through 25th is going to be the 2025 Women's Disc Golf Week. So if you want to support, I believe it goes to Throw Pink. Women's support there. September 12th to 14th, later on in the year, the Canadian Championship, which is a DGPT Q Series, held in Port Hope, Ontario. We like to support our friends up north. As for the upcoming events prior to our next episode, March, this coming weekend, in 3 days, in a couple days here, March 20th and 29th, we have a Go Throw Tour event. So one of their, I believe, 7 events that they're doing this year, their first year for the Go Throw Tour, is the Persimmon Ridge Championship. And I know 99% of the players love this course, because they rave about it when they've played it in the past. We have Big Jerm's a big supporter of the event, the course. So pay attention to that. And then as for the DGPT, the next DGPT event is April 4th through 6th. And that is another MVP supported event, the Music City Open. And that is held in Nashville, Tennessee. So
going for it again?
Looking
what? Predictions?
Oh, Simon, he wants a third guitar, man.
Right.
He wants another guitar.
Good time to put him up on your roster if he's not already there.
Oh, he's on mine. Thank you.
Oh, I know. You sniped him. I'm still angry.
Man. Still angry. Yeah. So,
but what I'm not angry about is this. Maybe.
You've got
mail.
Incoming mail.
Mail call.
It's like slow today. I'm clicking on it, and it's like taking its
It's
time.
okay.
Like it'll play when it wants to play. Mailbag, the mail call section of the show, is where we talk about stuff, feedback from you. If you want to shoot us an email at the show at discgolfshow.com, or you want to leave a comment down below, that's how you'll get your comment or question featured on this section. However, we're also changing this up just a little bit too, and we're going to start adding in different suggestions of different community things that you should check out that we're enjoying and we think it's worth checking out. Different videos maybe on YouTube, or different shows maybe even about disc golf, and different things to kind of just check out, because I think that'd be kind of interesting since we look at a lot of it and we just can't cover everything. So just want to put some of that out there. Although what will be coming up here soon is a product review of Disc Dyers Guild's box. They ship you a kit that has all the accessories that you'll need to perform disc dyeing, with an exception of your base materials. That's important to note. So I'll have a review video here, and I'll be doing my first disc dye ever. So we'll see how that turns out. Video will be posted up on the YouTubes, and we'll let you know when that comes out. But thank you again for them sending us that box so that we can try this out and get that review out to you.
Yes.
Coming soon. Another thing that we wanted to have you check out, because we thought it was kind of cool, was a video of, and I'm sure you may have heard of it already, is the McBeth and Wasaki playing a practice round together, as well as the Luna battle on AB's channel that we think you should check out because they're fantastic, fun to watch.
Yep.
And just watching McBeth and Wasaki play, period, is fun, but having them play like together and having that kind of dynamic there in the conversation and the whole production value of it was absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah, and you get a little bit of nostalgia with that because they've been not arch enemies, but high end top tier competitors for so long. They have more than one practice round now, which is cool. I think they may try to do more throughout this season, which is going to be really, really neat to see, because they have different style games, you know. Another show that was recently premiered, I guess, from Disc Golf Network, we do want to mention, is Off Course, and this one was with Erica Stinchcomb. I thought initially this was going to be a series, which would be cool in and of itself. I'm wondering that maybe this will be off course with different players. So maybe this one's Erica, maybe another one will be another pro, whatnot. This one was really cool because we do know that Erica and Madison do the Two Hot Geese podcast, and they do the commentating, the post-production with Jomez and stuff like that. But to see more of a backstory of Erica, she's super personable person. If you meet her, very, very nice in general, but to understand like how she got into the sport, what she's doing now, what she sees for her future and stuff like that. I like seeing more of these type of videos because you're getting a more personal characteristics and viewpoint of these players that maybe you didn't have before, and then you have that maybe more of a personal connection with them too.
You're getting to know the players more.
Yeah,
You're
and
more
that
invested in them as a person.
that benefits disc golf in general for
absolutely
professional tiered events and viewership and everything like that, because then you have that I don't know, it's hard to explain that more of a appreciation for that person. Maybe that's what I'm getting at. So go check that out. That's on Disc Golf Network, and I'm sure that's probably getting posted to YouTube at some point if it isn't already. But yeah, actually, it's probably already on YouTube by now. But yeah,
probably
really, really cool video,
and always great value production at Jomez Pro. So
yes, yeah.
You can't miss there. Another thing that you can't miss with is saving money. And we have a couple of ways that we're going to discuss here real quick that you can do that. One, maybe you're in the market for, I don't know, a disc golf bag. How about checking out Upper Park Disc Golf's website, and using the code DiscGolfShow to get yourself 15% off of your entire purchase. That's more than tax. That's pretty good. I would check that out if you're looking into one of their bags. I have one, and it's fantastic. My opinion is biased because I own one and it's really good. But you should check it out. Take it from me. They last forever. The only reason I got a new one is because my son wanted to get into disc golf, so I gave him the old bag. Still rocking it, still going strong, and the new one is fantastic too. So they keep making constant improvements. Check it out, Upper Park Disc Golf. Save yourself money. Use the code DiscGolfShow. Also, save yourself some money by using our affiliate link down below or in the show notes, discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow to save 10% off your entire purchase there on their fantastic website. Check out those deals that we talked about earlier because they are disappearing real quick. So get your hands on one if you're looking for them and you're in the market. Also, this episode was brought to you in part by Final Nine Sports. Support local, right? 2 locations, one in Orangevale, one in Rocklin. Shoot us an email, theshow@discgolfshow.com if you have any feedback. Nick@discgolfshow.com if you have anything you didn't like about the show. It helps keep him warm at night when he prints those
Never
out.
gets old.
And nope, he's making a quilt, I heard, out of all of your top emails. Also, remember, hit the subscribe button. And I think that will do it for me, for Nick, for Ken, who couldn't be here today. R.I.P. Just kidding. Nothing happened to him. Remember, in disc golf as in life, aim high and let it fly.